How's it going, ladies and Bruces? I'm Bobby Sixkilla, and today we are finally going to be doing the first official devlog. Like last time was devlog 0, it was sort of just an announcement thing. And it's been quiet times for a while, so you might have thought that I'm not getting anything done, but actually I've been hard at work, mostly scripting, which is hard to show you anything because I don't want to spoil anything. But when I haven't been scripting, I have been working on some other things that I do want to show you today. I've got most of the main menu done, most of the UI and everything's done, so I'm going to go through each of those and maybe I didn't really know what to talk about, just explain what I've done, the choices I've made, what I implemented and had to remove again because it didn't work out, that sort of thing, you know, hiccups and all that sort of jazz. I'm going to launch the game now and you can have a look at what we've got so far. So this is the final menu screen, except for the music. Apart from that, everything is complete here. This is how the menu screen will look. It is a video file in the background with these buttons are image buttons over the top. I will show you some of the menus. The flow menu is done-ish, but I won't show you that because spoilers, you know, but I will show you some of the other menus so you can give me your opinion on what you think about it so far. It's just loops, the flickering lights, and the glitching. The music is a placeholder at the moment. My friend Caleb over at Spire Games, which you probably know from the 7 Enigma, is working on a theme song for the game as we speak, so that's very exciting. He's taken his time out while also developing his next project, Synesthesia, link in the description, check it out. So that's really awesome of him, so expect the music to change. Other than that, we have the menu screen. I wanted to keep it reasonably RenPy-ish because it is made in RenPy. So this is mostly like a basic RenPy thing. It's actually a completely overhauled image map screen. So it can look like whatever, but I'm sure what a RenPy screen looks like. So there's only like load options and stuff like that. The flow screen, I won't show you that at this stage. But we will jump into this is it. Like, once you're in the game, you can't go back to the main menu either. You have to quit the game. I did have it originally so that you could go back to the main. I didn't like it. Frankly, I don't see why you would go back to the main menu rather than just quit. I hate the games that force you to go from the game back to the main menu before you quit. Seems like an extra step of wasting my fucking time. So you can just quit from any menu, right? So I'll jump into the game a little bit and I'll bring you forward to a point where we can see new background art, and how the characters are sort of presented in the UI in-game. So let's jump in, shall we? Alright, so this is at the very, very beginning of the game in a staff room. You'll notice that the characters are static apart from blinking. I did actually originally have video files organized for full-on, like, gentle ambient animation sort of thing, but I really could not get video files working well in RenPy without it using huge amounts of system resources. It is stunning how high the system resource usage can get when you're using video files. There are still video files in usage, but in this case, to give the impression of blinking, there is a eyes closed and an eyes open version for each of the sprites, and it's just using a very quick fade between the two on a timer. Each character has a different a length of time between blinks, that way they don't sync up, because if they sync up it would look really weird, you know what I mean? But the character sprites are almost certainly going to be replaced with professionally drawn ones now. I've been talking to Caleb from Spire Games about that as well, who's just decided to get his stuff redrawn for his new game. As much as I do like a lot of the sprites, I think a hand-drawn approach is definitely going to improve marketability, you know what I mean? So these are two of the characters you'll see at the beginning. These are the three main starting characters, Eleanor, Tomoki, and Mari. And this is how the UI is going to look. You'll notice that with the UI here, the text box here was inspired largely by Corpse Factory. I really like the sort of really simple, clean aesthetic that Corpse Factory's one had. So I kind of aped that, and then the quick menu at the bottom, you may notice, is almost a splitting image of the one from Meteor World actor Badge and Dagger, because I thought that was real stylish. So it's very much inspired by that. They have the voice beeps, Most of the script needs to be continued on refining. I've got a lot of refining to do. The script isn't done, but I have written from the start to the end. For every ending, there are 8 endings in the game. And all the writing's there, but not all the choices are there, and there's a lot of refinement that needs to be done in the dialogue to make it more believable and more emotional and more interesting, you know what I mean? That brings me to choices. There's actually 2 different kinds of choices in the game, which I'll bring you to shortly. So this choice that has the blue writing is what I call relationship choices. So doing these, picking one from here will change your relationship with the characters involved in that choice. And relationship choices like this do not have an immediate effect on the story. They just divert to a slightly different dialogue path. But they can have an effect later on. There are some endings that will unlock only if your relationship level with certain characters is at a certain point, you know what I mean? But in the short term, they don't really have any effect apart from dialogue. And then we have another kind of choice. I'll skip ahead and show you that in a moment. I should show you the basic layout for one of the puzzle rooms, right? So this is a puzzle room. This is the first puzzle room in the game. So the idea is that these are all clickable. Each one of these will provide you with a hint or something along those lines. And then when you go into here, you need to enter the password to move on. And that's just how you'll get 3 different hints. You can type exit to go back to here, so you can check more clues or whatever if you haven't got them all. And you need to work it out and type in the answer here. If you get it wrong 5 times, you can type skip to skip the puzzle altogether, but you won't get the achievement for it. That's how it's laid out at the moment anyway. So well, let's finish it. We'll skip this and we will move ahead. Alright, so this is what I call an immediate choice. It's unlike the relationship choices. This is where they're pink, and this is where you pick a path. So picking one of these choices immediately diverts you onto a different path. This is the first major choice in the game. Oh, and this character is Stefano, by the way. He's also a pretty important character. Well, actually, they're all pretty important, to be fair. They all have their place. I don't know what else to show you at this stage, to be honest. The script is currently about 40,000 words. Obviously, that's going to expand as I add dialogue choices in. After this point here, there are no more relationship choices yet. There are other instant choices, but there are no more relationship choices that I've written yet. I need to write them because they do facilitate different endings and different ways that things can play out. So that's, you know, pretty important. We've got the last of the background art is commissioned, and I'm just waiting for it all to come in now. They're about half done at the moment. This one here that you see in the background is also a completed background. I think the guy who's done it has done a fantastic job. He really has. Actually, everybody I've worked with has been absolutely fantastic. So that's about all I have to say about it at this stage. I know that was really short. But yeah, I don't know what else to really tell you at the moment, because at the moment I'm really focusing on getting that script done. And as the new background art's coming in, I'm sort of adding that to just dropping it in, and because he's doing most of the background art in 4K, so I'm putting them in at 4K and then resizing the resolution with RenPy code. Oh yeah, I used to have a thing where the characters would... Hang on, can we just reload somewhere? Let's load here. Where when the characters spoke, they'd move forward a bit. Like, hello, I'm Bobby and I'm talking now. Hello, I'm Mr. Hand and I'm talking now. And then they would move forward like that, like that. And that was pretty cool, but I really wanted some more dynamic camera angles, and like, it was based on the zoom function. But I like to have, like, sometimes they're close to the camera, sometimes they're far away, that sort of thing. And the talking thing hijacked the zoom function, so it messed it up every time I had them close or wanted them slightly different, you know what I mean? Like, if I go back to the... Hang on, I'll show you a thing. Alright, so here, when they go out into the... I didn't put a full stop there. Hopeless. When you go out into the hallway here, it has this sort of zooming effect, like that. That sort of thing. those are sort of dynamic camera angles I want to add all throughout the game. And because it's sort of, like, again, that's also inspired in large part by Meteor, World Actor Badge and Dagger, but unlike that, it doesn't have open vistas. Like, Meteor World Actor had a lot of, like, street scenes in, like, cityscapes and all that sort of stuff, which can do, like, a lot of panning shots like that. Whereas, because the entirety of the game, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but 99.9% of the entire game takes place inside rooms and corridors and facility, right? There's not a lot of like open vista-y type areas, so it's mostly just zooming that I'm going to be using for camera shots. There is one room that's specifically quite large that I might do a panning shot on, but for the most part, it's all zoom effects. The transition between facial expressions is done with a very quick fade as well. Another thing that's weird, and I'm not too sure if there's another way to do this, which is another jank thing that I'm doing to solve problems with. You'll notice Eleanor here, the main character, your playable character, she's not on screen, but she has a side image. I have to render her on screen. She actually is on screen. She's just rendered off screen on screen. Like, I've just pushed her X value all the way over so that so that her side image comes up and I can change the emotion. Otherwise, like, the side image will come up regardless, but you cannot set an emotion. The only way to set an emotion is to set the actual sprite. Whereas the side image just pulls from whatever the most recent sprite that you've had was, the most recent emotion or whatever. So to make it so that I can dynamically change an off-screen character's emotion as a side image, I actually render them off-screen. And sometimes because there's like 6 characters in the game, all talking at once, or possibly more sometimes, give a lot of characters off screen at times. So any way to like give them dynamic facial, because I don't want more than, there are moments where there are 3 characters on screen, but for the most part I only want 2 characters or less on screen because it's quite busy. I did set the characters to be quite large as well, as you can see, so yeah, it's quite difficult. I don't know if that's the best way to get around it, just rendering them off screen. It doesn't really slow anything down. I haven't got them doing the fade between emotions. But if you have any questions, ask me, and if you have any suggestions, go hard. This is just one of many. I'm going back to scripting again tomorrow. I'm working 4 or 5 hours a day on it at the moment, so it's really time consuming. And I haven't commissioned a character artist yet, but I will. I've got one that I've got my eye on, but I need to wait for the last of the background arts to come in so that I can send them those for the CG scenes as well. It's going to be expensive, but it should be most of the last of the expenses for it. So that's fine. Yeah, and I'll have more to show you probably as the new characters come in. I'll do like I'll probably do screens that show off each of the characters and their names and stats or whatever when I introduce the characters through the Discord server. So if you're not a member of the Discord server, jump in there, because I do display and sneak peek a few bits and pieces here and there and there. And if you're a patron, there's even more sneaky peekies of things that I'm working on at even earlier stages, you know. Or if you want to end up beta testing it when it's sort of in its demo phase. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.